Hello, all. Welcome to Hockey Tap Podcast, episode 183, guys. 183, Coaching Carousel.
183.
Yeah.
Heading
I'm
for
your host, Bill Dean.
200.
I'm here with two of my co-hosts, Steven and Shorts Guy.
Man.
Schwimm's out playing Tiddlywinks right now with Sam Wu. You can find him at that dump in Newark. And by the way, if you do see Schwim at the dump in Newark, make sure you
Punch
give him
him
a nice
right in the face.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
going to give him a slap. A nice slap would be nice, because then he'd know that's from Dean, and then punch would be from Steven, and then a nice quick shot to the giblets would be from Shorts Guy. So if someone can do all three things and film it, I will give them $500.
Ray Leo, I'm looking in your direction.
Come on, Ray Leo.
Oh man, that'd be. I mean, could you imagine if we have videotape of that happening?
I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if you guys saw that Instagram post that I sent you guys about the guy yelling at the turkey in that Italian type of voice.
No.
It's just
I did not see it.
Oh man, it's you can tell that there was no other place in this thing was filmed other than Staten Island, but it's this contractor leaning out of a van at a giant tom turkey, which is all puffed out in the middle of a road, and you just hear this guy go, "Get the fuck out of here!" That's exactly what I would say to Schwim if I saw him at the Devils game tonight.
I think I would do the same.
You could just tell that video was from nowhere other than Staten Island.
Staten Island really is the best.
You just got to eat vegan cake with your hands.
Woo!
You do. But we got into the whole long-winded, but brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Mr. Sam Wu. I'm behind the glass. Once again, Shrimps at POS. Brought to you. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Leaves a 5-star
Devil's
review.
goal.
Woo! Devils, which means Schwim is right now cursing at the dump in Newark.
Hi, Sarah. Should you be there?
Boo-boo. She is a boo-boo. Just so
Hi,
everybody
Sarah.
knows.
It's okay. It'll be okay.
They said it's okay. Gentlemen, what are we drinking? Something we haven't talked about.
I got cake.
All right, but you also have to have alcohol.
Nope. I do. And you know what? Talked a lot of shit about Schwim already on this podcast. And
we have.
It ain't going to stop now. So, Jesus. It's freaking Schwim's coming to get me.
Uh-oh. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm going to say in honor of Schwim, but maybe in spite of Schwim.
In spite.
Ooh.
Dogfish Head 61-minute IPA.
Ooh, I like it.
I still got 2 of yours, William. I have to give them to you. And 1 of yours, Shorts Guy.
Oh, yeah?
We very much enjoyed them down in Delaware.
We did.
They are fantastic.
I do believe, Stephen, I do believe we had them on that night that we went out on our little adventure around Rehoboth.
Picked up all those chicks.
Yeah. With that Ravens fan that was just for the taking for you.
And 10 p.m. rolls. 10 p.m. rolled around, and we're back home watching 1960s Godzilla movies, drinking Dogfish 61. Just the two of us.
Because we're just that awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I was wondering where that was going to go, and I was waiting to mute.
I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to fight them off.
I know.
Hard to fight them off.
I can't blame them.
Yeah, it was all the fans that they ran into down in Rehoboth.
Hockey on Tap.
Fans of the podcast.
So I'm gonna say this might be a podcast first for us. This here is not a full Dogfish Head.
Ooh, but look at the glass.
But look at the glass. That's just
from.
Oh, I know where it came from too. And the reason why it is not a full glass is because this is the end of a keg.
Oh wow!
I think I finished a keg of 60 in record time.
It's not always the best tasting, but you know.
No, but
cheers.
But this is but the reason why I'm at the end of the keg and I finished it as quickly as I could is because I have some winter beers that are forthcoming.
Some good ones. Some yellow flashing.
Some yellow flashing and some celebration.
Celebration, like it.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right, I am going from Tailgate Brewing, which is from Alicia once again. It is Nashville, Tennessee. This is a peanut butter milk stout. So I'm going
Damn that
heavier
lactose
today. Oh, milk stouts don't have lactose.
Steven is back. He was frozen for a moment.
Laptops.
He was?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
I think
I was waiting. You know what? And he froze just as you were saying it was a milk stout, and I was waiting for him
No,
to
but
say something
Oh,
about
But milk
lactose.
stouts are not lactose.
Yes,
Stephen will
so
tell you.
what on earth? Yes, cream ales are not. Milk stouts
I know,
are
I'm joking.
lactose. They
I'm
are
joking. It was a joke.
the original lactose holder of.
I'm still buying
beer.
you that lactose hat when I can find it.
And I'm
Listen,
throwing
Alicia
it
got
right
it for me. It was very
into
nice of
the
her.
anus
I'm going to drink it.
of William.
Yes.
That is a mean thing. All right, let's get what's on tap for today's episode. Here's our weekly snapshot. Lots of stuff around the NHL happening. Currently, you got Rangers and St. Louis. St. Louis is up 2-1. Lovely.
Darn.
We'll get into the
Montgomery
New York
debut?
Rangers. Yep, we'll get into the. Actually, I haven't even
good
seen
stretch,
it.
man.
I'm sure he is.
There's a big stretch going on behind Steven.
Yep, there sure is.
I'm sure Montgomery is there. I don't know if he'd be. You think he'd be on the bench if he just got hired? Was it today?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything like a player. I think they immediately come in and.
I don't know if maybe they would.
It's possible that he came down from Boston just to observe, and he would be behind the bench.
Yeah, I would think
for
maybe.
them
Yeah, maybe, or maybe
tomorrow,
he'd
or
be like
Wednesday
up
for
top.
us.
I don't
I guess
think
they're
so.
gonna challenge.
I think they hire him as a head coach. He goes right in, and that was on when was that? Today's Monday. What was that? Saturday that happened.
They hired him
Yeah, I'm
Saturday?
sure probably what happens is he just kind of
If they
sits
hired
behind
him
the bench.
Saturday,
as
then yeah, he
like
should be there.
And there was probably discussion prior to that, so he's already
I would
probably.
assume so.
Oh, there
been-
definitely has been. This has been in the works for a while.
Who was St. Louis's coach before him? I don't even know.
Bannister?
Yeah, so Bannister, poor schmuck.
Took over for
He was
Berube.
there after the firing of Berube.
Mhm.
He actually did pretty well in the few games last season that he was there. He only coached 22 games this season before, obviously getting ejected for Montgomery, which sucks. I mean, Drew Bannister, obviously not enough of a sample size to really, weigh somebody's coaching career, but hopefully he's back in another facet in the NHL.
Yeah.
But
He'll be definitely an assistant. I don't know that he'll go directly into a head coach, but definitely assistant job.
Well, he deserves probably another coaching, gig, or another head coaching gig,
point,
considering he seemed to be doing pretty well. Obviously, this comes from Doug Armstrong, who's really fond after Montgomery for a while. Montgomery's former coach of the Dallas Stars and formerly of the Boston Bruins, and now he will be in St. Louis, where he has some ties. Family grew up there, and a whole bunch of other things. Yeah, I'm getting bombarded here. Did you guys have any issues with the Bruins canning Montgomery? Do you think that was a bad move? You think it was necessary?
I think it was
bad. I agree. Obviously, a good move for St. Louis. Unfortunately for Bannister, this is a better coach that's going to land there. But so, give me your thoughts really quickly on Montgomery and the Bruins issue. With them going with Joe Sacco now, former Colorado Avalanche head coach. And then what, if any, and Steven, I'm kind of looking at you on this, coaching changes do you think might happen in the NHL soon enough?
I mean, I know you're insinuating about Sullivan, which has I don't know. I just the more I listen to the beat writers and read articles and so on, FSG really is all in on him. And if it hasn't happened yet, in some of these just flat out embarrassing losses that they've suffered, it's not going to happen. And I thought maybe that Montgomery becoming available finally gave them a viable option for a replacement. Once he was being rumored that he was on the hot seat, I thought
Montgomery would have went there.
I don't know. That's obviously it's up to the coach, right? I don't know if he'd want that. There aren't too many coaches that would pass up coaching Sidney Crosby. So,
but it's a rebuild, and they know that.
It's not though.
Everyone from the outside knows that should be, or I shouldn't say this, that it should be a rebuild.
Well, that's what people,
or at least a hefty
people
retool.
On the outside love the idea of tearing it all down and starting from the bottom. When it's very difficult to do that because of the cap floor.
Yeah.
So you need to have contracts on your team. So you can't
Agreed.
just tear it all down. And if you have pieces that are still very effective, you build around it. And Dubas is quietly doing
But
that. And, he's not
how
making
many?
crazy splashes. He just acquired Tomasino. So look at how many former first round picks he's already acquired. They're 23, 24 years old. They're not superstars, but they're younger players to get the team younger, a little more energy. The problem is Sullivan's not playing them. And I'm a fan of Mike Sullivan. I
Too.
really do think his system is very effective, and I think he's going to do very well with Team USA, and I think he would do very well with another team. The problem is his roster management has been bad, and
Yeah, not good.
I don't know what this infatuation with rolling Matt Grzelcyk out there every single night when he's statistically the worst defenseman in the league, and he's playing top pair with Chris Letang. Maybe that's affecting Chris Letang. Chris Letang hasn't been good, but there aren't too many players on that team that have been good. So right now it's kind of an anomaly. And I don't think there's any reason. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, it's like everyone's like, trade Malkin, get a whole bunch of stuff. Trade Crosby, get a whole bunch of stuff. Trade Carlson, trade Letang, trade them all, right? And just acquire draft picks and maybe a prospect or two. Nobody wants to see that franchise bad for the next 7 years as a fan. So Dubas comes in, and it's this, what I've been saying on this podcast, is a soft rebuild. Some of these guys are they're on the last year of their contract. Lars Eller is a great player, but he's potentially just a rental for Washington. They get a couple draft picks back. Nothing exciting, but they get a couple draft picks. That's acquiring draft picks. And then, they just acquired for a 4th round pick, Tomasino from Nashville today, another former 1st round pick.
Who
hasn't done
been
great in
good.
Nashville, but
Yeah.
no one in Nashville is very good right now.
Well,
he had,
no, but hold on,
okay seasons
but he's
prior.
also had 2 years. Well, okay,
But
he's also
he's a late
41.
first round pick. Okay, so you consider him late first round picks, or more like second round picks, right? And second round picks end up being better because they're considered second round picks and they don't have the hype of being a first round pick. But it's still a fine acquisition. You're getting the team younger. You're building up Wilkes-Barre, who's doing very well also. But the problem, and I think one of the big problems this season, besides execution, the players are all, I don't know what's happening. But like I said, I'm a big fan of Mike Sullivan's system. I don't know why he's managing the roster the way that he is, and why he's healthy scratching. And I haven't been a fan of Ryan Graves, but Ryan Graves has probably been their best defenseman, and he's been a healthy scratch the last 3 games over Matt Grzelcyk, who has been, like I said, not just the worst defenseman on the team, the worst defenseman in the entire league.
All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Do you think he's doing that because he wants out?
No. Sullivan? No, he's not trying to sabotage to get fired.
He's
kind of always
another...
he's always had
favorites.
A tendency to just play the veterans. It wasn't like that when he came in and won those 2 cups, because he brought up Brian Rustin and Jake Gensel and Matt Murray. He brought all these guys up from Wilkes-Barre who took over and really, propelled that team into the success that they had. And after that, it just ended up being loyalty to the veterans. Jeff Carter going out there every single game and, doing absolutely nothing. Never healthy scratch for, some of these younger guys to get a chance. So that's his big flaw right now. That's my big problem with Sullivan. And I think that Jim Montgomery would have been, I would have been okay with Jim Montgomery coming in as a replacement. But now he's out of the picture. And now it's like, do you fire Sullivan? At this point, that he should have been fired. Any other organization would have fired him. FSG loves him too much. I think they're going to ride him for the full season. And if it's a train wreck of a season, maybe there's some sort of mutual parting at the end. But I don't think there's any, like, people say that players try to get their coaches fired with how they perform on the ice, or, a coach is trying to get fired because he's doing this on purpose I don't think anybody's sabotaging the team or the results. So I just think it's a bizarre situation, and I don't really know. I have no idea how to fix it. Right. But I like Dubas's approach. I like this approach better than tear it all down, trade everybody, ask all of your superstars who career Penguins. Letang, Malkin, Crosby are going to retire. That's rare.
So you could still get rid of. The problem is that from an outsider's perspective, there's no assets that are coming up this pipeline. okay, you had some interesting guys that you got in a trade, but you don't have any top end prospects that are making your future seem bright. You have a bunch of middle six guys and lower depth pieces, but there's no Crosby, Malkin, Letang coming, or that
No,
shouldn't be
'cause they're-
coming in this group. There could be, obviously,
those are number 1 and number 2 overall picks.
but that's
They
the
don't have
point.
that.
That's the point. In order to get those assets, you could trade. Well, Carlson could get you a first. Carlson could get you some pieces. If you wanted to go down the path, and obviously this depends on Letang and Malkin to trade those guys, you could get something of significance. You're not going to trade Sid unless he really wants out. I'm not saying Sid. And by
You're
the way,
not
if
gonna
he's going to get
get
traded, he's going to Colorado.
You're not going to
So.
get a franchise. And I can't believe that this Colorado, he literally
It
just
is
signed an
continually talked
extension.
about.
Just
I
signed
know.
an extension. And they're
It's
still talking about
continually
like,
talked
oh,
about.
he's going to go to Colorado. He
Elliot
just signed
Friedman-
the contract.
I know. Elliot
It's
Friedman
not gonna
agreed.
happen.
Elliot Friedman said that if he didn't sign an extension, he probably wouldn't go. But he also doubled down and said that if they continue to go down this path and Crosby changes his mind, that's why they think Colorado would be the destination. If he changes his mind and just doesn't want to keep losing. Because Sid could come back in 4 months and be like, I hate this. This is
easy it is to make up that room for Elliot Friedman to just go
That's fine.
on and just say that? It is the easiest low-hanging
He's not the only
fruit
one,
of
though.
a freaking
He's
comment.
not the only one that said it.
Everybody's saying it because Elliot Friedman
Yeah.
said it first. And it's like,
No,
he's going to
no,
go to
no.
Colorado because he's friends with McKinnon. And it started that he was friends with McKinnon. Can you imagine him playing with McKinnon years ago?
Mhm.
And now he's getting older. It's like, oh, he wants to win another cup. He doesn't need to win another cup. He wants to.
He still wants to.
He doesn't. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He would never sacrifice. Just like tell the Penguins, and it's like this whole thing about he's going to do the Penguins a favor by going somewhere, and they're going to acquire all these picks and prospects, and he'll save the organization that way. That's not how that works. Okay, that's not how that works. Because first of all, if any of these guys, Malkin, Crosby, Carlson, are going to a contender, they're going to end up with a first-round pick that's like 30 to 32. And why? Why even bother? You're not getting anything. You can get 2 first-round picks.
It's a lottery
next
ticket.
year,
It's a lottery
the next
ticket.
year, they're still just as good. And then you're going to get, 25, somewhere between 25 and 30? You're not acquiring these first-round picks that people, unless you get something like when Carlson went to San Jose, which is such a rare occurrence for him to go to a team that's supposed to be great to compete for a cup, and all of a sudden they're one of the worst teams in the league. No one sees that coming. But they can't, first of all, nobody wants the contracts. So no contender can fit Erik Karlsson's contract. Can't. He makes $10 million a year for 2 more years. No one's taking that, especially with how horrendous he is right now. And especially defensively, and his own countrymen calling him out about how he shouldn't even play in the Four Nations Cup because of how awful he is defensively. Change of scenery? I don't know. Yeah, but none of these guys have value right now. Nobody at this point has value.
His contract goes to like $8 million. When does that happen?
10. He's 11.5. San Jose is eating 1.5 of it.
Oof.
No, I thought I saw something about if they had to pay his bonus or something, and then it actually goes down to like $8 million.
No, his cap is $10 million for 2 more years.
That's a big cap hit.
And he's the highest paid Pittsburgh Penguin, and he's
you're wrong, Steven. Sorry.
Disaster.
So the cash value, that's what it is. I'm sorry. The cash value that you have to pay him next year is $9 million, and the following year is $7.5 million. So and there's also a roster bonus owed to him that when it gets paid, you actually drop the dollar value that the actual team has to pay. His cap hit will still stay the same. Yes. But teams care about the actual dollar value. No, of course. That's not true.
Because some teams are worried about how much they actually have to pay. But if you're managing a roster, you just can't slide a $10 million contract into there without an issue.
No, but I'm sure teams would say, all right, you take 50% retained and we'll give you something better.
And you think Pittsburgh wants to retain $5 million a year to not have him on their roster for this season and the next 2 seasons?
Yes. If he's not good and you think he's going to go downhill and he can get you assets, absolutely.
They're not going to retain 50% of that. $5 million of dead cap space.
40.
Maybe $2 million.
Make still it something.
but you still can't have it. You're still not going to find a team unless a team like Vegas ends up throwing somebody on LTIR and come into a whole
Possible.
definitely happen.
boatload
They
of
like
cap.
to do it.
What happens? What's
Absolutely
going to
happens.
happen with what can happen with some of these contracts, like potentially a Jari, potentially a Carlson, is a bad contract for a bad contract, and just hope a change of scenery does them good. That's what you get with these
Yeah.
bad contracts. That's it. You unload yours and you get somebody else's in return. That's basically all you can get, because nobody wants to take a risk on somebody that's just signed for that long, for so expensive, and is so ineffective, and somebody who looks like they're declining.
Yeah.
So anyway, the long-winded version is Mike Sullivan going to get fired? I don't think so. That's my answer.
Well,
What are we
you
at?
also didn't
20
think that Montgomery was going to
25
get
minutes
fired.
later?
You also didn't think Montgomery was going to get fired.
No, I did. They said that he was rumored to be fired, and I was like, they shouldn't fire him, and they did. Me saying they shouldn't fire somebody and whether or not they're going to be fired are two different things.
So, Stephen, the one thing I can tell you this is that FSG, as the owners of Liverpool, I can tell you on the soccer side of things, when you have someone like Mike Sullivan, who's been there for as long as he has and has won them as much as he has, they will allow him to leave when he wants to leave.
Yeah.
Because they did the exact thing with Jurgen Klopp. Klopp was never going to be fired. It was going to be Klopp is going to leave when Klopp wanted to leave. So they'll do the same thing with Mike Sullivan. That when Mike Sullivan is ready to leave, that's when they'll make that coaching change, and they won't make it until then. FSG can be a very, very patient.
He's a Boston guy.
Yeah,
they're extraordinarily loyal to him.
They are. They're extraordinarily loyal to someone that they believe in, that has won for them. Jurgen Klopp, when he won the Premier League for Liverpool for the first time in forever, they were almost indebted to him. He won them every single trophy they could potentially win, and because of that, they allowed him to go out on his own terms, regardless of what was going on. And they're good in that regard. So I have no doubt that they'll do the same thing with Mike Sullivan, and they will not do anything they will not push Sidney Crosby out either.
No.
It's just
all these guys, and they're all full no movement clauses. So if they're going to go anywhere, it's 100% their say. So the only thing I think is that somebody, I don't know if Dubas has tried or whatever, but somebody needs to step in and at least advise the management of the roster, because right now who he's putting out there over and over again, sometimes making Jesse Puljujarvi healthy scratches, and he's been a spark plug for that lineup. Their third and fourth lines are actually pretty good. I don't know. I don't want to go into it again. It's so hard to explain, or too frustrating to explain. But
this is very quickly become Penguins on tap.
Yeah, you brought up Sullivan. They do have two very good goalie prospects, potentially three. Rucker McGroarty, of course, is still there, but who knows where he's going to end up. But they have good young pieces. But yeah, like you said, it's going to fill the middle six probably. They don't have somebody who's going to take over the team when Crosby's gone, but not too many teams get that.
That's a hole that no one can fill.
But now at their trajectory right now, they might have it after this season.
Yeah. In May 2023, the NHL announced its finalists for the Jack Adams as Coach of the Year. Jim Montgomery, Dave Haxtell, Lindy Ruff. All three have been canned. 18 months. Pretty funny. All right, let's get to Sid, and then we'll talk about we already talked about it a little bit, but
I was going to say we'll let Steven go for another 15. It's like talking to Ken Danica.
No,
hey Ken, how's it going?
We don't have to wax too much about this guy, but Sidney Crosby, 600 goals. He's the only player in NHL history with at least him and Wayne Gretzky are the only two players in NHL history. So, Steven, this does not include Mario Lemieux, who you use Golden Boy. 600 goals.
I heard there was an argument.
1,600 points. Oh, there was. 600 goals, 1,600 points, 3 Stanley Cups, and 2 Conn Smythe trophies. Only two guys. Very, very impressive. Quickly on, we actually missed the Connor McDavid 1,000 career points. McDavid has more career points than these guys: Jason Spezza, Phil Kessel, Paul Correa, Shane Doan, Henrik Zetterberg, Brad Marchand, and he's only 27.
Mario Lemieux is the best player to ever play.
I was waiting for
I'll tell you what.
Um,
I'll tell you what. Phil Kessel can eat more hot dogs.
he
That's
could eat
true.
more hot dogs. He could eat more hot dogs than me, I think.
And he still has
Um,
has the Iron Man record.
He
Which
does.
does.
It's
He-
still
that is-
Who
going.
knows if that'll
That
be
still
broken.
is the best. It's not still going.
No, well, I mean, he's not playing anymore. But technically,
Yeah,
it would.
no.
If he,
I thought you said still
Technically,
going.
yeah. If he just came into a lineup,
if
he
he
would,
came
it would
back,
still be,
yeah, it would still be
it
going.
would still be
No.
going.
Because
He
no,
hasn't
if
been
he gets
set.
injured,
He was
Yeah, but-
scratched in the playoffs. He was never
doesn't
scratched in the
count.
regular season.
Yeah, so it's still
yeah, but if
going.
he's not in a, so he
It's
could
just
come
on
back in
hold.
2 years, say, and still get that record. I don't think that's possible.
And still
Yeah.
continue it.
I thought
Yeah,
that still
it's-
continued because
it's
these are
still
regular
going.
season games he misses.
But he hasn't missed any.
That.
He hasn't been scratched.
By the way, you know what I was thinking about? And I can't remember his damn name. He was a former Ranger. He scored he was really fast and scored a whole bunch of shorthanded goals all the time. I think he ended up in Arizona last time he played.
Eric Christensen?
No. Christensen.
Oh,
Jesus.
I know you're talking about Mikhail Mikhail Grabner?
Was it Grabner? Grabner.
Yeah, Michael
Is that what
Grabner.
it was? Michael Grabner, yeah. And then I remember, I think it was the going into the COVID season, he apparently had all these offers but wanted to wait until there was an announcement of when the season was going to start.
And then he got nothing. Yeah.
And then we just never
Never
heard
heard
from him
back
again.
from
And that was it. Never seen again.
He played for the Islanders for 2 years, then went to the Devils, Coyotes in
Mhm.
1920, and then hasn't played since 1920.
Yeah.
1920 season.
Apparently everybody he had all these offers and it was just I'm going to decide when the season
He was a really good
starts.
shorthanded
Never
player. Career high 18 goals, 52 points. Sorry, career high 34 goals, 52 points for the Islanders back in 2010, 2011. I had 27 with the Rangers and then 25. Actually, I didn't realize he was that good of a goal scorer.
That's all he did. No assists.
No. His career assist high is 18.
Yeah.
6, 18, 12, 5, 14, 5, 9, 13, 6, 3, 7, 3.
Yep.
That's a great passer of the puck. All right, a couple more things. The CBA, I don't know if you guys heard this, but they're talking about possibly raising up to $95 million this next coming season. And then after that,
Is it at 88
next year,
right now?
maybe. 88.
it's-
95 to 97 this season coming up, and then close to 105, 110 the year after, which would be sick.
That's it is, but at the same time, I feel like I don't know what's going to happen to these poor teams and how they're going to reach the cap floor because the cap floor has got to go up too.
It does, yeah.
Well, I watch all these other sports: football, baseball, basketball. These guys are all making $20, $30 million contracts. Baseball's at 70. I want my NHL players to make more money, so I'm okay with bumping the third and fourth liners up to $2 million, $3 million contracts and giving our stars the rightful, 15, 20 that.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a
comparative
big,
they should be making.
We're
very
just gonna
large,
be the ones paying for
large
it.
disparity. Probably a large disparity in the stars versus the role players. It's going to end up being similar to when there was no cap.
Yeah,
Then you stack
We're
the
just-
team with these mega
Bobby
contracts
Holik,
and then
baby.
had filler players.
We're gonna be the ones that end up paying the price too. They're just gonna pass that
Yeah.
down to the ticket holders and to the merchandise and the hot dogs and the
Yeah.
beer, everything at the games.
That's what they do
Then
everywhere
again, I
else.
mean,
So
But then again, you look at it, but sometimes you look at it, you're like, how is this sustainable? You look at the White Sox, the MLB, there were games where they had less than 100 people in attendance.
revenue sharing. The bigger
Well,
markets
revenue
give them
but
money.
if the revenue's got to be there as well. But you also want to make sure that these players
Well, the
are
big teams it
yes,
is.
Well, I know that for the big teams.
I'm just saying,
but-
the Rangers give money to these poor franchises like the Devils. That's sorry, I had to throw that in there. That can't, afford to sell out their arenas.
Oh, is that
I
another?
mean, really,
That was another
honestly,
Devil's
right?
Bowl I just heard, by the
It's
way.
Montreal. It's
Just wait.
Montreal.
Just wait till
It's. But hold on.
Shesterkin.
It's
Just
Toronto.
wait
It's
till Shesterkin's a
Montreal.
Devil.
It's
Don't worry.
Vegas. It's the Rangers. These teams do keep these bottom dwellers, not the Devils, but they do keep the the lower teams afloat, and it's going to continue to be that way, just like it is in other sports. You're relying on those big markets to lift the other ships, right?
And you know what I'm relying on? All these players wanting to go to the Rangers to collect a paycheck and do nothing.
Well,
Like
it hasn't happened yet.
And
There's only been one guy, Artemi
and
Panarin.
not for nothing, there is a natural hat trick for Nico Hischier in the second period, baby.
Oh,
not
the
good.
next
I gotta
coming of
use
Patrice
Stars.
Bergeron.
Boom. Nico
Um,
Hischier, 3 goals in the second. Yeah. You know what though? It's if these teams are going to get paid, or if these players are going to get paid, great. I just want to make sure it's sustainable. I mean, the salary cap is I think it's been a good thing, but what a larger salary
I
cap
still want a salary
does as
cap.
well. What the larger salary cap does as well is hopefully it'll be able to keep teams together after they win a cup, because it seems like a lot of
Hopefully.
teams automatically have to dismantle some pieces and parts. But if they have more space, then they'll be able to keep that together. Maybe you'll see another more repeats coming up. But hey, as long as the Devils have enough cap space to sign Shesterkin for the next 10 years, I'm all for it.
Speaking of big signings, Nashville's new signings this season: Steven Stamkos, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points, a -13. Jonathan Marchessault, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points, a -12. Brady Shea, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points, -6. Brutal.
Yep. And they're losing 4-1 to the Devils.
Yep. I had a couple more things, and then we can get.
They only have 14 shots on goal through most of the second period at this point in total. The Devils have 27. Wow.
Brandon Hagel has 5 assists
Hagel has 5 assists
tonight. Yes.
Wait, what's the score of that game?
They may hit 6-1 Tampa. They may have all been in the first period, actually. 5 assists in 1 period.
I saw Tampa score 4 goals last weekend.
Oh, no. He had 1 assist in the second period. 1 assist in the second period. 4.
Matt Rempe's trying to fight somebody.
Of course he is, because that's all Matt Rempe can do.
Neighbors?
Oh,
Jake Neighbors? I don't know what Matt Rempe's going to do with Jake Neighbors. Oh, they're throwing off both Will Cooley and Matt Rempe. I don't know what they're doing to him.
By the way, how funny was that when I sent you guys the picture that I actually saw a Corey Perry Lightning jersey live in person in Tampa?
Yeah.
Is that not the perfect jersey for me to see when I'm down in Tampa?
If only you saw Mike Smith.
I know. That would have
right?
made the night even better. A Mike Smith Tampa jersey.
I'll send that period.
Maybe that should be Schwimm's birthday gift next year. Mike Smith Tampa jersey. I'm sure we can find one on eBay for nothing.
You got to find one signed too.
And you know what? You know it'd be even better if it was signed to a dry cleaner. That would be even better.
Oh, they should have let Parayko and Rempe fight. That would have been awesome. Those guys are monsters. All right, so Kochetkov out with a concussion protocol. You had. Did you guys see the Utah Utes, or I don't know, whatever you want to call them? The Utah players had to walk the streets of Toronto to get to the game.
No. Why?
Yeah, so there was too much traffic in and around the arena, courtesy of, I think it was Taylor Swift's concert. So they actually had to get out in the snow and walk to the stadium. It was like a few blocks.
Poor bastards.
They didn't
have to carry their equipment. Somebody else probably did.
There was actually also a rookie that was making his debut for the Wild the other night against the Flames, and his flight was delayed. He finally landed. I think he got to the arena at like 105, and the start was supposed to be like 138, and he basically hoofed it. He hoofed it with his bag, and the equipment manager grabbed his sticks.
Run up the.
Yep, they ran up the highway,
right?
Game traffic. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like that was his first game. That was his like introduction to the NHL, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
It's
that's pretty good.
That's a cool story. Like when it comes down to later on in life, and you're like, "Well, how was your first game?" He's like, "Well, I had to
Oh.
hoof it in the snow, but I got there."
Not great.
I don't know. I think that's a great, like, memorable way to start it, though.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Speaking of Utah, did you see the goalie splits between Connor Ingram and Karol Vejmelka?
No.
So Connor Ingram has 6 wins on the season. He is a .871 save percentage and a .361 goals against. Karol Vejmelka has 1 win on the season, a .922 save percentage and a .237 goals against.
1 win.
Yeah,
Yeah, 1 win.
somebody's getting goal support and the other one's not.
Not getting jack.
I like Vejmelka.
So do I.
I
do too.
I think he's solid.
Yeah, I agree.
Even on a bad team. We saw him. He beat the Devils, right? When we went to go see him.
Yeah, we saw him last year, and
he was great.
Yeah.
Vejmelka might have played when we were out there against Vegas too.
I think
he doubled back to back.
Can't remember.
No. When we went there the first time,
Bachelor.
Oh, we went there the first time.
Oh, he may have.
They played Vegas. No, I don't think it was two. I don't think it was two right-handed goalies because it was Logan Thompson. I don't think. Was it?
I want to say it might have. I feel like
it's wild that we're getting this surge of right-handed goalies too.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because proper equipment's available, more so than it was before.
For the younger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for the younger kids.
They don't have to change blocker sides because they know that they can actually get the pats.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's kind of shitty.
You get the blocker, but it's like when we were growing up, how many righty goalies were there?
There was a good handful of righties in the league when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And
no, I'm not saying in the league, but people we were growing up with.
Oh,
like
no,
I never saw.
I knew Pecker. That was it.
That's it.
He was the only
That's
one.
it. He's the only one.
Yeah, Pecker is the only one, huh?
Yeah, he's the only one that we know. So it's
and then Schwim, right?
And then Schwim. Get the fuck out of here.
He bought full right equipment just because he wanted to be like Darren Pupa. And not as a kid, not because he idolized him when he was a kid. When he was 40 years old, he bought full right goalie equipment, knowing full well he doesn't play full right, just to learn. Oh my goodness gracious! Lasted I think 1 session, and then he sold him.
December 4th will be the day that they announce the Four Nations tournament rosters, so it's coming up very soon. Obviously, that'll subject to change depending on injuries or how people are playing. But I heard the GMs, so it would be Bill Guerin and I forget who's GM of Canada.
Dubas.
It is Dubas. They were trying to get rosters expanded to 25 instead of 23 because I guess they're having some hard time making some cuts. I can't wait to see these rosters and just for everybody to just nitpick on everything because there's going to be big time players that are going to miss the cut that are going to get people are going to be furious about, and then there's going to be like a schlub that fourth line grinder. Matt Rempe makes it for Canada. So that they can fight.
It depends if James Dolan is the GM.
That'd be great. I'd love for him to ruin Canada. Go James Dolan.
Their goaltending situation is just they're gonna have to. Binnington's gonna be their number one.
We talked about that.
So I saw Binnington 1. I saw is Joey Decord? No, I saw someone else at number 2.
Joey Decord
3. They were talking about Fleury.
I saw that they were talking about Joey Decord potentially playing for Canada instead of the U.S.
Yeah. And they're talking about Fleury being the third guy for vibes because he's been on.
You know who I think would be a good to include is Mackenzie Blackwood. I think he should be one of the 3. I don't think he goes in as the starter, but he's
played well,
great on a miserable team.
He's
never played. I don't think he's ever played poorly. It's just literally he's overwhelmed. But he steals games for them, and they're a terrible team. I think he has potential, and I think on a good team, or maybe he excels on a bad team. You know how some of those guys just do really well with a lot of. I think like Darcy Kemper when he was playing with Arizona.
Yeah, Darcy Kemper.
He looked unbeatable with getting 50 shots a night.
When Mac Black plays well, he can play very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when he has a bad game, it's bad.
But you
His
could
bad
throw him
games
in
are bad.
Canada. There's no three I think should be guaranteed spots. No three
No,
goalies
and
for
we've talked
Canada
about
should be
that
guaranteed
before.
spots.
Canada does not have.
I guess Bennington would be your only somewhat guaranteed, like somewhere 1, 2, or 3.
I mean, that's what they're
Right,
they're
like, could you
planning to
s-
have him as their. I think everybody's projecting him to be the one, and Fleury's actually
Yeah.
having. I mean, he hasn't played many games, but he's actually having a good season for not playing many
Yeah.
games. So
And he could be a decent backup or just like a, not mentor, because you don't really need that. But
I think he was there once. I think he won one gold medal as the third. I think the last time the players were there, I think he was there as like the third. He might have played a game, but that was it. I think because Carey Price was obviously stealing the
what is
show.
What is Kevin Lankinen? Is he Canadian? No, he's Finnish.
He was projected to make the Finns.
Yeah. I mean, Joey Decord is born in Boston, Mass, so I don't see how that's,
his dad's Canadian.
fair
though,
that he
I
could
believe.
do that. Yeah, that's bullshit.
It happens in
born here.
international soccer.
I
Well,
know,
yeah,
hate
but
it.
I don't know how. I
same thing
mean,
with,
are they? Is this how? Who's? Is this an NHL event? This Four Nations thing?
It is.
So who knows what unless they're just straight up following Olympic rules for who's
Well,
playing. For
apparently,
who.
yeah, I think they're going to do it because this is going to be a stepping stone to the Olympic rosters. They said if you make this, you're most likely, unless something happens injury wise or you really suck.
Yeah, it's
You're
Olympics
almost kind of
next year. So
yeah.
So, but within international soccer, you can make a one-time move to a different nationality, to a different national team based on your parents' birth.
right.
So this
Not
would be his.
citizenship.
Yes,
Well,
I
that's
was right.
that's what happened with not Shabbat. The guy went to Washington, defenseman.
Chikrin.
By the way,
Chikrin.
Vejmelka
Yeah,
was
he's
the
American
second star.
born.
Vejmelka was the second star of the game we saw against the Gold Knights.
Go nice. Okay.
Oh,
So we saw
cool.
him twice.
Mm-hmm.
Solid keeper.
I knew it. I remembered the pads.
Yeah.
It's because of the pads. They wore because they wore those maroon jerseys with the Arizona across the front.
Bennington's got
And
an
then
891
I remember his pads that day.
goals against average.
Yeah.
Save percentage.
He did well. He was second star of the game. 1 goal against. Doesn't say how many saves. I gotta look that up, but yeah, it was right. Boom. Yeah, he had 35 saves that day. He played very well. And then Logan Thompson got hurt right afterwards because he heard me yelling at him.
Yeah.
Cam Talbot's actually played pretty well. Maybe he should be there.
I mean, you're talking about Cam Talbot and Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, these are two 40 and almost 40-year-olds playing goalie for you.
It's
US
amazing
has so
how
many
far
good goalies.
Canada's. It's amazing how far Canada's been depleted in goaltenders.
Yeah. Well,
Like they're still talking for like goal. Obviously the U.S.
So has Swayman played himself out of a position on the team?
He may have. I mean, they're talking about
still probably there.
Yeah,
I think he still probably goes. Yeah.
I think the third spot's open, but it's like Ottinger, it's
Ottinger,
Joseph Wall, it's Wolf, it's
Swayman's not a guarantee anymore though.
No, I've heard Wall.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna just this small sample size of just this season. I don't think they're gonna write off Swayman because of everything he's done the previous couple of years. So I think they probably still bring him. And then Olympics.
If he's not doing well now,
I think for this one.
But if he's not doing well going into it, you want to bring someone that's doing decent. And if
currently
doing well, February, if you have to,
well, that's why Ottinger's played really well recently. He's going to make that two. He's probably at the 2 spot.
Yes, for sure.
And Hellbuck's a shoo-in for the starter.
Oh, he's the starter.
I'm curious if they have so the rosters are announced on the 4th of December. Is there going to be a window to make adjustments in that roster?
Yeah, you can
do it
all the way
injuries,
up until,
probably.
Yeah, all the way up until the start.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can just like cut a guy. But I think injuries.
True. Yeah, you can't cut a guy, but injuries. So they were saying that you could, that there's going to be teams that will talk to like 3 or 4 guys and be like, "Don't make vacation because if there's an injury, you're going to be on the team." It's one of those deals.
Yeah.
2 months to announce a roster 2 months ahead of time just seems like a long time.
Kaprizov's set to return from his lower body injury from the Wild off a kind of questionable hit. But Brock Besser, friend of the podcast, hopes to be back for the Canucks tomorrow. We'll do standings. What?
Let's call them the
What'd I
Cucks.
The Vancouver
I said
Cucks.
Canucks. That'd been pretty good. I should have said Cucks.
Oh,
Just like
God damn.
neck ass
Okay.
leading in points. Toronto leads the
My new
East
favorite
Atlantic.
team. I think I'm going to switch fan bases now.
The Cucks. Yeah. 28 points for
It's just a
Toronto.
chair in a
Florida
corner.
behind them.
That's their logo.
Yep.
Just a chair in a
Just
corner.
a cuck.
Oh,
Little box
God.
of tissues next to the chair.
Oh, didn't
Yep.
take much for us to get distracted. Here we are.
Nope.
New Jersey Devils sitting in first in the Metro. Carolina right behind them,
Who?
30, 30,
Who?
29 respectively. You guys also played 4 more games than anybody else, so I don't need to
I
hear
don't care.
it.
Not the Penguins. They're just as bad.
Yeah.
They're just as bad with the right amount of games played. Same amount of games played.
Winnipeg Jets 34 points, sitting first in the Central with Minnesota behind them at 30, and then you got Vegas at 28, Calgary 27 in the Pacific. Stats, like I said before, Necas at number 3, 33. McKinnon leads the league at 35. Kaprizov 34. Defenseman Kel McCarr 30 points for a defenseman. He's ahead of just Zach Werenski at 20 by 10. Pretty impressive. Quickly for the Rangers, because we were talking about it previously, I actually forgot about this. Elliot Friedman today saying in the aftermath of that 6-2 loss to Edmonton on Saturday, the Rangers have made it very clear they're interested in making moves and shaking up the roster. Same thing also was kind of said about Nashville Predators. Names indicated were Kreider, Trouba.
Okay.
So Jacob Trouba most likely going to be dealt to the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's courtesy of Schwim. Really looking forward to the haul back on that one. But no, quickly. So Rangers, despite
being 3
being
consecutive captains, right? 3 straight captains.
3 consecutive captains.
Tampa.
Mhm.
Great.
Despite playing 5 less games than the Devils and only 5 points back, they're 12-6-1. They have the best points percentage. Second best points percentage other than Carolina. They have played kind of meh against good teams, and they are in need of a shake. And if it's one of these guys getting out, although now Kreider's hurt, they're talking about bringing up some of the other guys, younger guys. They brought Brett Berard's up here right now playing on second line minutes, but until guys like Kreider and Zibanejad start to play better and really, fulfill their contracts, Zibanejad's been just god awful. They are going to need to do something because it just hasn't been good.
Brought back MSG legend Matt Rempe up to the big club again.
The problem, and we're going back to the Penguins now, is what you have to consider with some of these guys who are not doing well with bad contracts is that you're probably going to have to take another bad contract in order to get rid of that contract.
You know what I was thinking? Nashville needs a center.
7th round pick?
No, Nashville needs a center, and they seem to be trying to get anybody to fill that second line role. I'd deal them Zibanejad for whatever. I mean, give me back Stamkos' horrible contract, and I'd call that fine. Like, I just he's been.
Movement too. But who knows?
He does.
What he would want to do. Maybe
Zibanejad does. Zibanejad does.
And probably.
They probably
Stamkos
both do.
Well.
Yeah. It's just he is not his 5-on-5 is offense is basically dried up with Kreider as tandem. They've tried to jumpstart him by switching him to Panarin's line with Lafreniere, and it hasn't worked. And it's just they've tried everything, and he just seems to be in a malaise. And it's kind of affecting
losing
his power
Kreider
play
on that
numbers
power
too.
play is going to be significant.
Yep.
Oh, they actually just scored with Cooley in front of the net, so I guess he's got his role for today. But Kreider's one of the best in front of the net, and I don't know.
Even when he's not trying, he can score goals.
Yeah, no, he's really. I was asking. I think we talked about Steve with this. Like, do you think Chris Kreider's a pure goal scorer? And I don't think you'd ever say yes, but here he is with a 50-goal season, a bunch of 40-goal seasons.
Yeah. I don't know what he is, but he scores.
Yeah, he's a goal scorer. Just what
Yeah.
kind? We don't know, but he's a goal scorer. That's undeniable, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. You guys got anything else for today?
No, Schwim's a big old pile of dookie.
Yep.
Big old
Watching my Devils beat the Nashville Predators.
big
Yep, I hope
boatload of
Stamkos
ass.
is happy.
I'm sure he's thrilled. Actually,
Yeah.
I will say this: the last week I got to see the ceremony for Vasi for his 300th win,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
and it was a cool ceremony, and they had a lot of video congratulations from other players from former Tampa Bay Lightning, and no surprise, the loudest pop came from a video of Stamkos congratulating him. And then it was pretty cool. Everyone got it, gave him a big pop for it. And then he at the end when saying what he was saying, he takes the camera and points it down to his kid who was wearing a Vasi helmet and like cheering for
Stamkos'
Vasi as well. Yeah, Stamkos' kid.
Oh, nice. That's
It
cool.
was cool. It was definitely cool, but it was the loudest pop of any of the videos, and they had like a Hobby Boolin video and like just a lot of
Probably, I would say that because it's probably the only player that the fans there recognized.
ugh. I mean, it is possible. It is. It's at one point in the first period, the guy that was sitting
Steven
next to me.
Stamkos, he played for us before, right? Yeah,
I
let's cheer
remember
for
that
him.
name. I remember that name. Yeah, the guy that was sitting next to me at one point in the first period was ready to go out to his car and get the skates for Tampa because he was going to do better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did forget. Joe Thornton had his number retired by San Jose. Couple good stories, but there was one about him and his wife Tabea, who they moved in a homeless mother and two children into an apartment in San Jose. And the only person that knew about it was former GM Douglas Murray, and he came out and said the story. He said Thornton never asked him to say anything.
Doug Wilson?
Doug Wilson. I say no, Douglas Murray, former Sharks GM.
Former defenseman.
Yeah, Douglas Murray. He was also former GM.
Douglas Murray was also a GM.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good story. I saw that. That was a really good
story. But there were a lot of stories about how Thornton, he just loved to be naked in front of everybody, and he would go to like interviews. He'd actually, you don't see it a lot, but he'd go to interviews with just his socks and his shin guards on, his skates. He'd wear a jock strap and then just the towel around his neck, and you wouldn't show the half, bottom half down, but he's basically buck naked in front of this interviewer the whole time as he's doing an interview just for camera. And it's the guy just Jumbo Joe was a highlight. His whole speech was pretty cool. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, take a look. Meant a lot to a lot of people. Guys, were just saying some pretty crazy stuff. So
I had a college teammate that had no issue being naked in the locker room at all times.
Yeah.
Just completely naked in the locker room. That's just the way.
Did you know what the San Jose Sharks actually gave him for his 1,000th game played as the gift?
Was it clothes?
No.
A club? Like the club to protect his vehicle?
A woolly mammoth tusk.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they actually got a tusk for him and gave it to him as like his gift. That's the crazy stuff Joe Thornton's known for. Obviously the beard but yeah, pretty good stuff. So
Vasi got a silver goalie stick.
Yeah, I saw that.
300th win, and his kid got a mini version of it.
You think it's 100% silver, or you think it's like just plated?
It's probably silver plated.
Yeah.
It'd be one expensive goalie stick if it was pure silver.
All right, my beer, peanut butter porter, 3.25, 3. Not overly.
Peanut butter Brett Porter.
Yep, peanut butter Brett Porter.
My 61, I will give a 61 out of 100.
And this is the end of the keg of 60 minute.
By 60.
Shrim,
take us home.
You suck. Take us home.
Get the fuck out of here.